this video we are doing a book review, and this was a book that I had read in 20s and I'm rereading again in my 30s, and I just remember why it was so great. So I wanted to come on and share this with you guys because if you are anybody who has a big dream, if you are anybody who has a big goal, if you are anybody who knows that there is more out there and you're searching for more in your life, you should definitely read this book. And it's called, I'm going to tell you what the book is. It's called Successful Women Think Differently by Valorie Burton. 9 habits, and the light is in her face. 9 habits to make you happier, healthier, and more resilient. Now, this book came out in 2012, and I don't remember when I got it, but I got this like over 5 years ago. And I think she has more books now that are out. Like there's another one like this called Successful Women Speak Differently. I think that's what it is. And then she has some more books that I've just not gotten around to reading the other books yet, but I remember this one that I have and I loved it and I wanted to share it with you guys. So if you guys ever get a chance, you should read this book, Successful Women Think Differently, and it's by Valorie Burton. And if you, depending on where you are, there will be a link where you can grab this book off of Amazon in the description or in the comments, and if you're on my website, it'll be there too. So I just wanted to read this really quickly from Amazon on who she is before we get into my book review. So Valorie Burton is a best-selling author and certified personal and executive coach who has served clients in over 40 states and 8 countries. She has written 9 books, so 9 books on personal development, including this one, Happy Women Live Better, and Happy Women Live Better. She is the founder of the CAP Institute, providing tools and training that build resilience, well-being, and productivity for life and work. So that's her about the author on Amazon. So you should definitely check out some of her other books, including this one. And this is the one that we're talking about today, Successful Women Think Differently. And here's what I love about this book. This book, in it, she kind of tries to teach you how to like coach yourself. And we'll get to that like at the end of the chapter. She kind of gives you these things where you can go back and think about what it is that you're telling yourself, right? So here, this is what I love about the book. I'm going to go from the beginning. So in the first chapters, she kind of talks about it's all in your mind, and I highlight all the things that I wanted to talk about, or even for myself, even after this, where I'm going to go back and like reread some of this stuff, right? But one of the things she said in the very first pages is that it's easier to pretend you never wanted it than to go after it and fail. Now, how many of you have ever thought about that, right? You want something so bad, but you don't really want to fail, so you don't go after it. So you pretend like you really didn't want it. You know how many people do that in their lives? They like pretend that it's something that they didn't really want. So because if they fail, and if they can say, okay, well, I didn't really want that, so I'm not going to go after it. You know how many people do that? A lot of people. They pretend that they don't want the things that they want because they're so scared of failing. I was going to put another word in there, but you know, we're going to keep it clean. So that was one of the first things that like pulled out my attention. And then another one, still in the first part of the book, right? Every truly successful woman seeks peace in her decision, love in her relationships, and purpose in her life. Now, is that you, right? Do you seek peace in your decisions, love in your relationships, and purpose in your life? If that is truly who you are, then I definitely think that you should read this book. Now, I'm going to get into the first part of it, which is before you read this book, you have to commit to 7 key decisions, which I love. So if you're not going to commit to the 7 key decisions that I'm going to go over, then don't even bother getting the book. And it has a place in the book where you can sign it and date it. Now, I had read this book before, but I don't know what it was before. I didn't like to write in stuff because it's like, how do you write in your book? But then I actually wrote in it this time because it's my book. So it's like, why don't I want to write in my own book? So I actually signed it this time, and I actually committed to them. So the 7 key decisions that she wants you to commit to in the book before you actually start getting into the book, and if you're not going to commit to it, don't even bother getting the book, right? Is decision number 1, I do not downsize my dream. Decision number 2, I focus on solutions and not problems. Number 3, I choose to be authentic. Number 4, I choose courage over fear. Number 5, I choose relationships wisely and nurture them intentionally. Number 6, I actively seek feedback and use it to grow. And number 7, I know my purpose and take daily action in the direction of my vision. So remember what I told you, what is one of the secrets of accomplishing big goals, right? If you have not got that secret yet, you need to go. I'll put a link below for those of you who have not got the secrets yet to accomplishing your big goals. There'll be a link to below, and you can go grab those secrets, right? But let me give you a little hint. One of them is taking daily action and pursuing the thing that you said that you want. Because it just makes sense. If you want to go after something, you have to commit to it regularly and start taking action to actually doing it and getting the thing. So this is what I love about this book. And I think that you should definitely read it if you want to be any type of successful in your life, and you have like any negative thoughts, or you don't believe that you're successful, those people who have like imposter syndrome, or if you just don't have the people in your life who believe in you and can push you forward, definitely get this book. Because if you don't have that surrounding you, and you're using that as an excuse as to why you're not on another level, I need you to read this book, because it's all starts in the mind, which is what she says in one of the first chapters. It's all in your mind. You can take yourself to the level that you want to get to, but it all starts with the way that you think, the thoughts that you're telling yourself, right? It can be things that are ingrained in you from the way that you grew up in, the environment that you were in. But you have to understand, it's something that you can change. Like some people, they can never go out of that thinking, right? This is the way that I grew up. This is what the people in my life have. So I can't have more, right? I can't do more. I can't be more, because there's nobody around me who's ever done it or who has it. If you are ready to break out of that kind of thinking, you should definitely get and read this book. The other thing I love about this book, and as I'm rereading it now, I'm like, why didn't I? Like I said, I guess I didn't want to write in the book before, but now I'm doing it. But at the end of every chapter, right? And I just reread like chapter 1 and chapter 2 because I know I was going to do this review. But at the end of every chapter, I'm trying to get to the end of the first chapter, and it's evading me. At the end of every chapter, there are a list of questions, which she calls a personal coaching toolkit, power questions to enhance your thinking style. So at the end of every chapter, there are like a list of questions that you can ask yourself, that you can kind of coach yourself, and then you look at the answers that you're writing, and it kind of helps you to start thinking about, the mindsets that you have, and like the mindsets that you probably need to start shifting towards, or the things that you're telling yourself that you probably need to stop. But until you start analyzing those things, until you start like maybe writing them down and paying attention to the things that you're telling yourself, it's not something that you will just change just like that. Like there's no switch to flip. Like one of the mindsets that she talks about, and which we go into more details in one of the videos when we talk about mindset matters. One of the mindsets that you hear a lot of people talk about is the fixed mindset versus the growth mindset, right? And for those of you that have a fixed mindset, you don't just say, okay, I don't want to have a fixed mindset, I want to have a growth mindset, and you do this and your mindset shifts. That's not how it works, right? You actually have to do the work. You have to understand the way that you're thinking, and then you have to understand the way that you probably need to start shifting so you can think about a situation, a behavior, and a habit in a different way. So that's what I love about these questions, because it kind of puts you in the mind frame of, here's the things that I've done before, here's the things that I've accomplished, here's the things that I've dreamed of, here's the things that I want, right? And it kind of opens up your mind to, why didn't you achieve them before? Or what are things that you did achieve, and how did you go about going after it the first time? Because maybe that's the same steps that you need to do to attack this new goal and this new dream that you have over here. So that was in chapter 1 alone. It kind of has you go through the exercise of thinking about something that you've accomplished in the past, thinking about what helped you to get there, get to the end of that accomplishment, to actually achieve that goal, and then think about things that you want now that you've probably failed in, and how is it going to help you if you try to do that goal again. Like, how are you going to be able to do it again if you think about the way that you accomplished this previous goal over here? And I like it because, like, for me, I was thinking about my first blog. let's just say it failed, but it didn't fail because of lack of effort, right? It failed because I didn't know about blogs. Like, I didn't know what I didn't know. And now this time around, I'm redoing the blog. I changed the name. We're going with a different style, and there's more that I know now that I didn't know then. So I understand now that if I go about it a different way, if I use a different approach, right, I can actually succeed at this new blog because I have a new plan, I have a new approach, I have a new way of thinking. But I have to think about, well, how did I fail the last time, right? What happened when I failed the last time, and how can I go about changing that action, changing that behavior so I can have success this time around? So things like that, it gets you to think about. And I really think that if you are anybody who wants to have any type of success in your life, you should definitely get this book. If you want to change the way that you think, change the negative thoughts, if you have a lot of negative thoughts and you want to start changing those things, I really think that you should get this book. Now, I am rereading it again because I read it so long ago and I was in a different place when I read it the first time. So now that I'm reading it again, it's opening up my mind to new things. That's one thing I like about books, right? You can read them one time and you can get one thing out of it the first time that you've read it, and then you can read it again and get so much more. And I think right now, with the space that I'm in my life, especially doing, this new YouTube channel, doing my new podcast, I am getting so much more out of the book than what I got how many ever years ago that I got it and I read it, right? I'm getting so much more out of it now. So, Successful Women Think Differently by Valorie Burton. And I think she also has a book out called Successful Women Speak Differently, which will be on my list after I reread this one, right? I know she has way more books than that, so check her out on Amazon. I'll include some links below so you can get this book or other books from her collection. And we're gonna do more book reviews because I like doing book reviews, and we have so much time now where we can reread stuff, right? So I'm rereading a lot of old books that I have, so I can do those book reviews, and then I'm gonna grab some new books so that I can have some fresh reviews on some more up-to-date content. So if you guys haven't gotten this book, go out and get it. Let me know what you think when you read it. If you think it was something that actually helped you in the way that you think, in the mindsets that you have, leave me a comment below if you've already read it and you just want to share what your thoughts on it when you read it the first time, or if you've reread it again. And give me some let me know in the comments some other good books that you have read so that I can bring my book knowledge and my book reviews more up to date, because I want to get some brand new books that are more current. And like I said, even though this book was written, I think it was 2012 this book was written, the content is still relevant. It's still very relevant. But I also want to find some new content, get some new books that are out there. So if you have any suggestions for books that I should probably take a look at and review, let me know in the comments so that I can put those on my list of things that need to be in the Queen's Library. All right, queens like you, queens like me. So we are going to start reading more, start doing more, and start thinking differently, because we're all going to be successful women, right? Okay, I say right like so many times, but right. Successful Women Think Differently. Make sure that you grab it and read it. I think there's also an ebook version if you don't like the physical books. I like physical books, but that's it. So Successful Women Think Differently. Make sure you get yourself a copy and check out my other book reviews that are coming up. And that's it. I will see you guys in the next video.